Hi everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to my most watched video on my channel at the moment, which is Bookgammon. It's such a rattly board, it's such a noisy thing. So this is my Bookgammon TBR game. I created it from the game Backgammon. If you would like to know the rules of this game, I will link the playlist for you in the description box down below. Just check out January's video and all of the rules are there. There are a few added extra rules since then, as we've come across them playing the game, but you'll get the general gist if you haven't been here before. So, last month I took it easy on myself because May is a difficult mental health month for me, so I only played with one piece on the board instead of two pieces like I normally do because I'm a glutton for punishment. So last month I only had 4 books on my Bookgammon TBR, and you would think that I finished them all, but I did not. So the only book I didn't finish was Hollow Lake by Ellis. I just didn't get around to reading this. To be honest, I wasn't in the mood for a thriller. This seems a really spooky kind of thriller, and I am excited for this one, but I know I'll need to be in the right mood to read it. And I just wasn't in the mood for a spooky thriller in May. My mental health just wasn't there. It just wanted good fantasy. That's what I wanted. I wanted to escape into fantasy, you know, where good conquers evil, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I just wasn't in the mood for it, so it will be a priority pick for this month's TBR if it can fulfill any of the prompts. So that's that. Now in June I am again going to take it easy on myself, and the reason being is that I want to take part in the Whatever You Want-a-thon, which is a readathon hosted by Maddy from Book Browsing Blog. I will link her announcement video for you in the description box down below, so you can check it out if this readathon sounds interesting to you. Now there's a lot of different ways that you can take part. She has created it so that you can be as involved as you wish. If you're not a competitive type but you do want to join in, then you can just read and get points that way. Or if you're a bit competitive, then you can join in with the prompts and get the points for the prompts and things like that. So the readathon goes for the full month of June, and I am going to be taking part in the Epic and High team with Jodie from Jodie's Book Corner and Becca from Becca in the Books, because like I just said, I really am in the mood for some deep, like intense fantasy. Like I want to get lost in a book. So yeah, I'm feeling like some big books for June. That's what I want. I feel like I've been reading lots of itty bitty books recently, and I just want to get lost in a big epic fantasy. So perfect team for me. So there are 15 prompts. I'll quickly go over them for you. 1, the cover reminds you of a pride flag. 2, reread, comfort read. 3, a 5-star prediction. 4, an author's debut. 5, out of your comfort zone. 6, hauled in the last year. 7, indie or self-published. 8, POC representation. 9 is a poll, so I will be asking for your input in a minute. So 10, fits a TBR game prompt. 11, buddy read. 12, disability or mental health representation. 13, bookish creators favourite list. So some of the hosts and team members' favourite books are on a list that she has created, that Maddy has created, and if you read one of those, then it fulfills that prompt. 14, the cover has your team colour on it, and for Epic and High that is black. And then number 15 is the last letter of the previous title you read is the same as the first letter of the next book that you read. Do you understand that? So if the title ends in a T, then of the book you've just finished, then the next book you read has to start with a T. So the or something, I don't know. So yeah, so that is all the prompts. And so I'm just going to go through some of the books that I'm hoping to read for the Whatever You Readathon, and then we'll get into the Bookgammon TBR, because I know that's what you're here for. But I just want to go through this first. So the first book I want to read is a reread for me, so it fulfills that prompt. It is The Exact Opposite of Okay by Laura Stephen. If you haven't heard me shouting and screaming about this book, then where have you been on my channel? I love this book. This was one of the first books that I read, well, the first book that I read from the library, and before I'd even finished the book, I knew I wanted to own my own copy. It was that good. So this is a story about Izzy O'Neill, who is a young girl at school, and unfortunately for her, one day a web page is posted that is showing nude pictures of her without her permission, obviously. And she needs to discover who has created this page and why they are being so malicious towards her. And she's getting called all the names under the sun. And she has to deal with the repercussions of this event. She's wants to be a comedy screenwriter. And so she uses comedy a lot in order to combat situations, and sometimes this gets her into a bit of trouble. So yeah, I absolutely love this story, and this does have some beautiful colours on the cover. So we have pink, yellow and blue, and I believe, because I did have to look this up, that pink, yellow and blue are the colours of the pansexual flag. So yeah, it fits that prompt. Fits a couple of prompts, but that is the book that I'm going to be reading for that one. The next book is going to be a buddy read, actually, and that is A Discovery of Witches. This is a library copy, so it's got that shiny plastic on. This is written by Deborah Harkness. I believe this is her debut. I did have to look it up, but I think it is her debut, and I've got it all marked up for our buddy read. I'm buddy reading this with one of the girls from my book club, so I have to message her with these page numbers. So yeah, I believe this is fulfilling the prompts. So an author's debut, buddy read, cover with your team's colour, so black. So it fits a couple of prompts. So yeah, I'm going to be reading this one. The next one also kind of covers the buddy read, and yeah, covers the buddy read, but I'm going to be reading it for it. It's the full chronicles, the complete chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. This is a bind up of all 7 books. It's huge, like it's bigger than my head, and heavy. This has all 7 books in. I don't know if it's an abridged version. It doesn't say that it's an abridged version, but the writing in this is tiny, like tiny writing. But yeah, so I am buddy reading this with my friend Charlotte. This is our buddy read for this month, and she has already read the first 2 books, so I have to catch up. So we're gonna wait for me to catch up and then see how much time is left in the month, and then decide how much more we're going to read. So I do believe that these books are on audio, on Scribd, I think. So it may be quite quick to listen to on Scribd, but the goal is to finish all 7 books in June. Can I do it? Can I do it? The thing is, I have had this book since 1998. My eldest daughter's dad gave this to me when we first started going out as 18-year-olds. Before my daughter was born. My daughter is now 21 years old. I have had this book for 22 years. 22, 23 years? Yeah. So, yeah. I need to read it. Do you think? Do you think I need to read it after 22, 23 years? I think I do. So this is the year it's going to get read. Finally. Eventually. Finally. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. So those are the first 3 books. I will be doing another book. I just don't know yet. It'll probably be to fulfill like the indie published book and a POC rep, because I am aware I don't have any POC rep at the moment. But I think I'm going to leave that to a mood read. I think I have pledged 5 books to complete this readathon. But for the poll pick, these are my choices, and I would like you to help me pick which one do you think I should read. So the first one is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, I purchased these last June as a gift to myself because my male cat Ringo had just sadly passed away in June, and it was a real shock to me, and it wasn't expected. It was like that. And it was an emergency trip to the vets, unfortunately, and it really badly affected my mental health. I love that cat. Don't cry, Nicola. And this box set of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit was something that I had my eye on, and I thought to myself, do you know what, I'm just going to treat myself and make myself feel happy in any way, shape or form that I can right now. And so I bought the box set for myself, but I haven't actually read them yet. I did read them when I was a lot younger, so my first choice is The Hobbit. So that is that one. The next choice is a book that I bought 2 years ago because I really wanted to read it. I have not read it. It is The Never Tilting World by Rindge Pekko. So yeah, I would really love to read this book. It's about 2 sisters. A demoness is what they call a goddess that men cannot control. So yeah, it's about 2 sisters, and the world has been split between day and night. And one sister rules Aranth, a frozen city surrounded by a storm-racked sea. Her twin inhabits a sand-locked golden city. Each goddess has raised a daughter, and each goddess keeps her own secrets about the past. But then these 2 shall meet and a big war shall happen, I'm sure. So yeah, I would love to read this one. So that is the second choice. And the next one is a Fairy Loot book, and that is Bone Crier's Moon by Catherine Purdy. I've heard some mixed reviews about this one since it came in the Fairy Loot box. But yeah, it says, we will have to make our own sacrifices one day, and it will be easier if we don't grow attached to those destined to die. So I believe that our female character has to kill her true love, I think it is. She has to kill her one true love in order to become the matriarch of the Bone Criers. And he is out for revenge because his father was killed by a Bone Crier. And, you know, romance. What are they going to do? I don't know. So yeah, that's my third choice. So Bone Crier's Moon, The Never Tilting World, or The Hobbit please put your choices in the comment section down below, and I will count up who has the most choices made, and that will be the book that I read for whatever you want-a-thon. So now that I have got that over and done with, let's get to the bit that you're most excited about, because I took my Bookgammon board to the book club this week, and the girls loved it. They were so excited for it, and it brought me so much joy seeing other people enjoying my game so much. It makes me feel so good that I've created something that other people can enjoy as well. So yeah, here we go into the gameplay, and then we'll come back and we'll look at my choices for June. So to remind you of the categories, we have red thriller, pink contemporary, orange is classic, green is middle grade, yellow is graphic novels and mangas, purple is non-fiction, and blue is fantasy. So we have our cards here, so I'm just going to give them a shuffle. Every time, man alive, I can shuffle, honestly. I just have to concentrate on the cards rather than the video. Okay, so that is those done. And we have our dice, and again we're just going to use one piece. So first roll, a 1 and a 2, so that is 3. 1, 2, 3. We have a contemporary, and the prompt for that is a hardback. Okay, I don't have many hardbacks. Okay. I only have one hardback contemporary, so I'm gonna have to think that one over. Okay, roll number 2. 7, 1 and a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have a thriller, and the prompt for that is over 400 pages. I can definitely do that prompt. Then next roll. Oh no! It's a double 1, which means we have to go back 2. 1, 2. So we have a fantasy. So the prompt for that is friend picks. So I'm going to ask one of my lovely friends to pick a book for me. Roll number 4. 2 and a 5, which means 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's another contemporary. And the prompt for this is the shortest on my TBR. Roll number 5. Oh, I thought it was going to be another double then. A 2 and a 3, so that's 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's another fantasy. Another easy prompt, just a paperback. I have plenty of those on my TBR. And then roll number 6, and we are home. 4 and a 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're home. And that's my TBR game for this month. Okay, so that was how well the Bookgammon went this month. She was pretty good to me. She was pretty good to me. She wasn't too cruel. So our first prompt was a contemporary, and the prompt was a hardback. Now the problem with that is I only have one contemporary hardback now, and that is the US hardback edition of The Exact Opposite of OK, which I'm already reading this month. But I want to read the English copy because that has the colours of the pride flag on it. The hardback has a different cover. So I had to kind of tweak this one a little. So I've gone for If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. Now this has like a cardboard like cover. It has these like flat and it's like real stiff cardboard. So I kind of had to go for that, and I think I'm going to have to remove that prompt because I don't have a hardback contemporary anymore. So yeah, I'm going to have to change that prompt and we're going to have to read this one. So I believe that I was supposed to read this a couple of months ago but didn't get around to it. This follows 4 young women struggling to survive in contemporary South Korea. So plunges us into the mesmerising world of contemporary Seoul, a place where plastic surgery is as routine as getting a haircut, where women compete for spots in secret room salons to entertain wealthy businessmen after hours, where K-pop stars are the object of all-consuming obsession, and ruthless social hierarchies dictate your every move. I think this is going to be a little hard-hitting, so I might start it at the beginning of June and just take it easy throughout the month, reading a little bit at a time, because I don't want anything to put me into a slump if it's too hard hitting, and that has happened previously in the past. So yeah, I'm going to be reading If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. The next role was a thriller, and the prompt for that was over 400 pages. And this is another book that I was supposed to read a couple of months ago and didn't get around to it. I got about halfway through and then I DNF'd, but not because I wasn't enjoying it, because I got to the end of the month and I thought, you know what, I haven't finished it in time, so I'm just going to put it back on my shelves and forget about it. And that was The Bat by Jo Nesbø. As I say, I did get about halfway through, but I must have taken out the bookmark. So I'm going to have to start it all over again, which should mean that the beginning of it should be pretty quick because I've already read it. So this is the first Harry Hole thriller written by Jo Nesbø. Harry Hole is a detective, and he is sent to Australia to assist in a murder case because a young girl from Norwegian, well, no, that's not. A young Norwegian girl on a gap year in Sydney has been murdered, and he needs to go across and help the investigation without getting himself into trouble. Probably not going to happen. So that is that. The next role was a fantasy, and that one was a friend picks. So I contacted a good friend called Karen. She is actually one of my subscribers who I've recently had quite a few conversations with, and she seems a lovely lady. So I thought I would ask for her opinion. I gave her the choice of 3 books, and I specifically picked Fairy Loot books because I have a rather large list of Fairy Loot books that I haven't read yet. So I need to get a move on them. So first one I suggested was Shielded by Kaylin Flanders. So that was the first choice. The next choice was Master of One by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett. But the one that she picked was Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin. This is book 2 from Serpent and Dove. We got Serpent and Dove in a Fairy Loot box, and then they did the second book, Blood and Honey, in a special editions book. And Karen's reason for choosing Blood and Honey was because the third book, Gods and Monsters, is due out this summer. And when she was saying this to me, I was like, Gods and Monsters, sounds awfully familiar. I wonder if Fairy Loot are going to be doing a special edition of that to go with the other 2 special editions they've done. And then I thought, why does it sound familiar? Then I got this real nagging feeling. So I looked through my emails. Yeah, I've already pre-ordered. I've already pre-ordered the Fairy Loot special edition of Gods and Monsters. That's why it sounded familiar. So it would have been a nice surprise in the summer to have a random book turn up on my doorstep. But hopefully I'll remember now. I'll remember that it's coming and it won't be such a shock and a surprise. It'll be a nice surprise. Beautiful surprise. But, you know. So this is Blood and Honey. As I say, it's the second book to the Serpent and Dove book. Serpent and Dove is about a witch and a witch hunter who are forced to marry for reasons not a lot of people understand, me included. I was a little confused as to why it was a forced marriage, but anyway. The witch, she is hiding from someone that she doesn't want to find her, and the witch hunter has no idea he's been forced to marry a witch. He has no idea, none whatsoever. So it's a bit of a shock to him. So yeah, this is a continuation of that story. I might have to remind myself kind of what happened in Blood and Honey, in Serpent and Dove, but the general gist of the story is in my head. So it shouldn't be too bad. So I'm going to be reading Blood and Honey for this prompt. So for the next roll, it was another contemporary, and it was the shortest one on my TBR. So I went to my notebooks, I had a look at the page counts, because I have a notebook where I write down how many pages each book has. Me and lists, it's just my thing. And the one that was the shortest was this classic, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Chbosky. Now, I've never read this, never read it, never seen the film either. So I don't know what this is about. I picked it up in the charity shop. I thought, oh, a lot of people have talked about that in the past. I should probably read it. I think it's a coming of age story about a boy, probably meets a girl, probably falls in love, probably falls out of love, probably gets back together again. I don't know. Deeply affecting coming of age story, yes, that will spirit you back to those wild and poignant roller coaster days known as growing up. Like I need reminding. You know when people say, if you could go back to your childhood, would you? No, not a chance. I'll take my life now. Thank you very much. I don't want to go through childhood again. No, thank you. It was enough of a trauma the first time. So yeah, we're gonna go and relive growing up again, apparently. I'm good. Yes. And the final roll was another fantasy, and for that one it just said paperback. I have plenty of those, so I'm gonna do it. I'm finally going to finish the first Mistborn era, and I am going to read Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. All 724 pages of it. This big chonker. See what I mean? I'm in the mood for some big books. So yeah, I do have the audiobook for this, so it should be pretty easy to go through. I find that Brandon Sanderson has a way of writing where you look at the page count and you go, oh my God, that's going to take me forever. But he has such a flow with his writing, and it's such an easy style that you just seem to like fly through them. They don't take me that long. I have had shorter books take me longer than a Brandon Sanderson. So yeah, he writes in such a way that you just fly through his books. So it shouldn't take me too long to get through this. This doesn't intimidate me just because it is Brandon Sanderson. So yes, Hero of Ages is the third book of the first Mistborn era. The first book is The Final Empire, and it's a story where the bad guy won. The bad guy won the war, and he is ruling the city and the land and the world where the story takes place. And there is a rebellion brewing, and a young girl called Vin gets caught up in a gang of rebellion, like a rebellious gang, and she learns about Mistborns, which is a group. There are Mistborns can ingest metals and use them for magic, kind of thing. This is why you need to go to Goodreads to find out the synopsis for these books if you're interested in them, because my idea of explaining books is so pathetically poor. Vin gets involved with a gang who are starting a rebellion against the Dark Lord, and they ingest metals in order to use the magic of the world. That's really what I wanted to say. So yeah, that is the 5th and final book of Bookgammon. So these are all the books that I will be reading for Bookgammon. I'm quite happy with it. There's a couple on there that I don't know if they'll be top priority, but I will try and get to them, as well as the books that I'll be reading for Whatever You Wantathon. So yeah, that is my Bookgammon TBR and Whatever You Wantathon TBR. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!